Hi and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around I got another haul. It's 7 movies from Imprint. And thank you to Imprint for sending them to me. Actually 6 from Imprint, 1 from Via Vision, which is the parent company of Imprint. It's not a stretch to say all of them are hidden gems, because they are. I'd heard about a few of them, but there are some here that are unknown to me, and they're really intriguing films. Full disclosure, I've only watched 2 of them so far, but I've got at least another 2 of them on my to-be-watched imminently pile. They're all from the 90s and the 2000s, so you know they're good. And we'll get started with the one that I'm going to watch next. Really intriguing film from 1998, which I didn't know anything about. It's by a Bosnian director, which I'm going to have to read his name off my computer here. Predrag Antonjevic. And there's a film called Savior, starring Dennis Quaid. It also stars Stellan Skarsgård, and Stasia Kinski's in it as well. It's the story of a mercenary played by Dennis Quaid who's fighting in the Bosnian War. He's a member of the Foreign Legion after an incident involving his wife in a terrorist attack when he was working for the American Embassy in Paris. And he is a stone killer. He's a professional mercenary. And he's fighting in the Bosnian War, and he encounters a pregnant woman, and that changes his life. He has to protect this woman and her baby when the baby is born, and he works his way through the complexities of real war, not the war you see in movies, but real war, the way some people weaponize nationalism and patriotism and the weapons that people use for war that have nothing to do with guns. I'll put it that way. I've seen this reviewed by a couple of people I know, and they tell me it is something extraordinary. A real hidden gem, a tough movie because it has a realistic approach to war, which is not always something that sits comfortable with a movie audience. People like the heroic stuff of war. They don't like the nitty-gritty and the granular and the more real-world stuff. There's the back cover. This one I'm looking forward to because it's going to be a movie that challenges me, but I'm really looking forward to having the experience of it. It's number 398 if you're keeping count on the Imprint releases. It's a 1080p high-definition presentation, audio commentary by the director Predrag Antonjevic. A story once told, an interview with the writer Robert Orr from 2025. During the war, an interview with the actor Sergei Trivovic from 2025. Archival interviews with actors Dennis Quaid and Stellan Skarsgård, and executive producer Cindy Cowan, and a theatrical trailer. Even though it does have a Bosnian director, it's actually an American movie. Fascinating stuff. I like the fact that Imprint is digging deep to find these obscure movies that really do deserve a bit more respect and love and a premium release. Inside, we have an alternative cover there, which is very much darker than the other one. The back's fairly ordinary. Inside, we have the disc, and we have an image of Stellan Skarsgård there. I'll read you the blurb off the back as well. A hardened mercenary in the Foreign Legion begins to find his own humanity when confronted with atrocities during the fighting in Bosnia. I think that's a good, succinct précis for the movie. But I don't know if I'm looking forward to this one as much as I feel that I want to watch it. And it's a very different feeling to, I'm looking forward to this movie, I really want to see it too. I need to watch this film. And this is the one that I need to watch, and I will be watching it next up. I think it's good to challenge yourself with a tough film now and then. You can spend so much time eating light fairy floss confectionery movies. Now and then you need something with a bit of meat on the bone. Second film I've got for you is from 2003. Stars Hayden Christensen, Peter Sarsgaard, Chloe Sevigny, and Steve Zahn, who I once saw on an aeroplane. Shattered Glass, about Stephen Glass, a journalist who was working for the New Republic for 3 years, and eventually was found out that he was faking a lot of the attributions and a lot of the quotes he was doing for his stories. He was a very well-regarded journalist, but he was faking it. And it's only because of very early internet investigation that he got found out and, of course, ended up getting the sack. This is the first time, with probably a few minor instances before, where a journalist whose work predominantly appeared online in the New Republic was investigated and found out through online means. People did the due diligence after the fact and found out that he was faking a lot of stories. I'll read you the blurb off the back of this one. The true story of a fraudulent Washington, D.C. journalist, Stephen Glass, who rose to meteoric heights as a young writer in his 20s, becoming a staff writer at the New Republic for 3 years. Looking for a shortcut to fame, Glass concocted sources, quotes, and even entire stories. But his deception did not go unnoticed forever, and eventually his world came crumbling down. Interesting film from that point of view, and it talks to an important thing at the moment, which is truth in journalism. Facts-based journalism is so crucial to our civic life and our civilization, our cultures, that this is a very timely release by Imprint. There's the back cover, and I'll tell you what the extras are. 1080p high-definition presentation, an audio commentary by writer-director Billy Ray and former New Republic editor Chuck Lane. That's a nice catch. Evolution and Education interview with director Billy Ray from 2025. Every quote, every detail. Interview with the producer Craig Baumgarten from 2025. Editorial Integrity. An interview with the editor Jeffrey Ford from 2025. A 60 minutes interview with the real Stephen Glass. And a theatrical trailer. There's the inside cover. There's the back. Inside you get the disc. And an image from the movie. I'm intrigued by this one because it is something I've been thinking about. I do a lot of time online talking with friends about politics and about the nature of changing politics in the world. And the need to have truth-based journalism is just so important at the moment, as indeed it was in 2003 when this came out, and earlier than that when Stephen Glass was writing for the New Republic. A very timely release by Imprint, and I think there's a reason they put it out right at this moment. Next up, we've got a Catherine Bigelow movie. One I didn't know about. I knew about a number of her other films, and I respect Catherine Bigelow as a director. I think she's a terrific director, and really deserved the Oscar she finally got for The Hurt Locker. The Weight of Water. From the year 2000. It stars Elizabeth Hurley, Catherine McCormick, Sean Penn, and Sarah Polley. And the blurb is, a newspaper photographer researches an 1873 double homicide and finds her own life paralleling that of a witness who survived the tragic ordeal. It was based on a novel by Anna Shreve, and the cast there is rock solid. I want to know as little as possible about this before I watch it. It feels like the kind of movie where if I do too much research on it, it's going to do spoilers for me and ruin the experience of watching it. There is the inside cover, which is very 2000, really, that kind of design. But that's okay too. There's the back. Inside we have the very disc itself. And Sean Penn going for a swim. A lot of the films this month could be considered art house movies, I suppose. But I don't never see that as a majority thing. I think it's a different viewing experience watching an art house kind of film, or what some people call a Sundance film, and watching movies that are designed for an enormous mass audience. I think your head's in a different space when you watch these kind of films. But that's not a bad thing. I like the ability that I have and have acquired over years of putting my head into a different space for watching different kinds of films. I think that's an important thing if you're a film buff or a film critic or a film reviewer, just being able to align yourself with the kind of movie you're watching. And these movies require a different headspace than watching a blockbuster film, for instance, or a rom-com or something a lot lighter but still entertaining. I like the fact that these ones retain that ability in me to put my head in a different space to watch different kinds of films. Next, cab off the rank from 2001. Good cast. Sissy Spacek, Tom Wilkinson, Nick Stahl, and Marissa Tomei. It's a film by Todd Field called In the Bedroom. And it's not about bedrooms in houses. It's actually a metaphor. The bedroom is the inner chamber of a lobster pot, where if you get more than 2 lobsters in the bedroom, in the lobster pot, they will fight each other. And that's used as a metaphor for the events that occur to the characters in this movie. The blurb says, summertime on the coast of Maine. Matt Fowler is a doctor practicing in his native Maine. He is married to the New York-born Ruth Fowler, a choral music teacher. Their only child, Frank, home from school for the summer, is working as a part-time lobster man to earn extra money for graduate school in the fall. He's involved in a love affair with a local single mother, Natalie, played by Marissa Tomei. As the beauty of Maine's brief and fleeting summer comes to an end, these characters find themselves in the midst of an unimaginable tragedy. Interesting sounding film. There on the back, there's the back with Tom Wilkinson, an incredibly underrated character actor who died a few years ago. But he could play, and he was an English actor, but he nailed various American accents and the ability to play those characters in a very nuanced way. Here's the inside cover art. Again, very turn of the century. There's the back. Inside we get the disc. And Nick Stahl and Sissy Spacek in a reflective moment. It's the kind of movie that reminds me not to just watch fluffy films all the time and to go into a movie that's a bit dramatic and a bit different and character-based, because I've got an inclination and a tendency to just watch shit. And I don't feel that brings out the best in me as a movie buff. And I feel a little bit like I'm eating junk food all the time when I do that. Now and then I want to sit down to an unusual, substantial meal. And these movies are definitely that kinds of films. Two more to go, one of which I've already watched. This one's intriguing. Sienna Miller, Hayden Christensen, and Guy Pearce playing Andy Warhol. Factory Girl from 2006. I was right. I was guessing right. 2006. With that Warhol-esque cover. It's about Edie Sedgwick, one of Andy Warhol's factory girls in his art workshop in the 1960s. Edie hailed from a wealthy aristocratic American family. When she met Andy Warhol, it became a mad rush for fame and fabulousness that was destined to spin out of control. Fabulousness is a word that's not used that often. Sienna Miller, of course, plays Edie Sedgwick. Special features, 1080p, of course. Audio commentary by critic Elizabeth Purcell from 2025. Audio commentary by director George Hickenlooper. In Vogue, Becoming Diana Vreeland, an interview with the actress Ileana Douglas from 2025. She plays Diana Vreeland in the movie. Building the Factory, Crafting Andy Warhol's World, an interview with the production designer Jeremy Reed from 2025. Production designers I like a lot. I like interviews with people who do that kind of creative thing behind the scenes. You always get an insight into the movie that you wouldn't get from a director or an actor. Deleted scene with optional audio and commentary by the director George Hickenlooper. The Real Edie featurette, Guy Pearce's video diary, which is going to be an interesting watch. Guy Pearce is now starting to get some love after he appeared in The Brutalist and got an Academy Award nomination. But he's been doing great work for 25 years and really not getting enough regard for it. Sienna Miller's cast audition, Making Factory Girl featurette, and a theatrical trailer. And the back, of course, is in vivid pink, for those of you who are colorblind. Here's your inside cover with Sienna Miller as Edie Sedgwick. There's your back. There's your disc. And there's Sienna Miller playing Edie Sedgwick. I remember when this film came out, it got really no coverage much here in Australia. I know it did get a theatrical release in some smaller cinemas, mostly because Guy Pearce was playing Andy Warhol and Guy Pearce being an Australian actor. It'll be interesting to take a look at. I've got a kind of vague fascination with Andy Warhol's milieu. and all of the people around him and the weirdness of it. But I'll dive into this one, and I think it'll be an interesting time. Next up is the film that I have seen, the first of the two that I've seen. And I watched it yesterday, and it's mind-blowing in its implications and in the style of it. It's a Belgian film in French, made on a minuscule budget in 1992, Man Bites Dog. And the French title translates as This Happened in Your Neighborhood. It's funny, it's transgressive, it's horrifying as well. And it's a really interesting and fun movie. I liked it, even when it appalled me. The blurb says, the film crew follows a ruthless thief and a heartless killer, same guy, as he goes about his daily routine. But complications set in when the film crew lose their objectivity and begin to lend a hand. And that indeed is what happens. It's the story of the killer. His name is Ben, played by Benoit Poelvoorde, who is a serial killer and a thief. He robs people and kills them and dumps their bodies into marble quarries and other places. He's very scientific about how he dumps bodies. He knows exactly how much weight to put into the bag to make sure the bodies don't float to the surface. And he actually talks about that early in the movie. He also makes movie references. He's charismatic and easy to anger and a mad guy. He is dangerous to everybody around him. He's got friends and family. And the interesting thing is that the actor is also one of the directors, Benoit Poelvoorde, and he actually filmed his character's family with his real family, not telling them it wasn't a documentary, but it was a fictional movie. And so he goes into the shop that his mother owns, and his father's there, and his mother's there, and his grandparents are there, and he's interviewing them with the camera crew there, because the camera crew in this mockumentary are part of the film. And he's talking to his family like things are being filmed for a documentary. They didn't find out until later that he was actually playing a fictional serial killer. And it's mind-blowingly weird. There are some really horrible and transgressive things that happen in this film. There's assaults, there's murders, and the complications come in when Ben, the character, kills the wrong person, somebody who's connected, and that then complicates the film. It was filmed on 16mm in black and white, and it's got that 16mm graininess. But it's a fascinating film. You roll with the characters, and as the film crew who are filming Ben get more and more involved in things, helping him get rid of bodies, helping him find the people he's supposed to be killing, it gets complicated, and the line between documentary, the mock documentary, and the characters being part of that documentary totally gets disintegrated during the film. A lot of it's filmed on abandoned buildings and in grainy parts of Belgium. They actually went to France because it was the only place they could find a marble quarry where they could dump the fake bodies. So that part's filmed in France, but the rest of it's filmed in Belgium. This is a perfect midnight movie in so many ways. Like I said, got transgressive stuff and some things that don't sit comfortably, but that's the intention. And the three directors, Remy Belvaux, André Bonzel, and Benoit Poelvoorde, are the characters playing Ben and two of the documentarians. So that then again blurs the line. This is a fun movie. I enjoyed it a lot, even when I was appalled by what was happening. The special features, 1080p of course. You wouldn't want to go with 4K with this. It's on 16mm black and white. It's got a graininess that sits okay in Blu-ray. But you'd never want to do it on 4K because there's absolutely no purpose to that. Audio commentary with film historian Sam Deegan from 2025. Man with a Movie Camera, the found footage legacy of Man Bites Dog. A documentary by filmmaker Sarah Appleton from 2025. Deleted and alternative scenes. No Seafall for Daniel, aka something, a short film that the guys made. I can't speak the French. And a theatrical trailer. This is the sort of movie that I would have seen at a midnight showing at an encore cinema like the Valhalla, perhaps. There's your inside cover art. Like I said, grainy black and white. There's your back. There's the great artwork on the disc itself. And there's the filmmakers filming Ben as he goes about his nefarious tasks. Recommend that one. You should check it out. I wouldn't watch it when the kids are around. I'll just say that. because there are scenes that will scar them for life. Very, very, very dark comedy. The last thing I got for you is actually not by Imprint, it's by Via Vision itself. And it's a horror movie. It's from 2014. A horror movie about which I knew nothing, and it's a found footage horror movie. I'm not normally a fan of found footage horror movies. They just don't sit right with me because the things they show are not necessarily shown well, and shaky cam upsets me without nauseating me. But this one's got enough riz and enough interesting stuff to it and an interesting premise. It's not a great horror movie, but it's a solid one. It's a decent horror movie. And it's called As Above, So Below. And look at that. It's got a lenticular cover where the skulls in the catacombs under Paris are moving around. It's also got an upside down J card with all the details on the back. And also some really nice artwork on the back of the J card. There are art cards as well. I'll show you them in a moment. But I will read you the premise of the film first. Miles of twisting catacombs lie beneath the streets of Paris, the eternal home to countless souls. When a team of explorers venture into the uncharted maze of bones, they uncover the dark secret that lies within this city of the dead. Basically, they go to hell. A journey to madness and terror, As Above, So Below, reaches deep into the human psyche to reveal the personal demons that come back to haunt us all. And so they do. A team led by a young woman who is trying to find the Philosopher's Stone, the magical stone that Nicholas Flamel discovered back hundreds of years ago, and which will heal all wounds and offer eternal life. She's kind of a Lara Croft character in real life. She's got multiple degrees. She speaks a lot of languages. She actually gets her first clue by sneaking into a tomb in Iraq just before the Iraqi government is blowing up the pagan tomb. And that scene is quite effective at the start. And this is all found footage, so it's being filmed by her camera crew. And as she then moves to the catacombs of Paris and finds somebody who will take her down into the catacombs, all the footage is shot on head-mounted ping cameras. And as they descend into the catacombs of Paris and go past the known parts of the catacombs of Paris, they descend into hell. It's in English, but it's a nice film. They filmed part of it in the catacombs. They actually put a car and a piano into the catacombs under Paris to film there. There's some bits that the people making the film talk about where they'd film for the day and then walk out of the exit for the catacombs, which is right near a big hospital in Paris. So all of these actors covered in fake blood and dirt and guts and things will be walking out to finish their workday, walking past the front entrance of a hospital. Interesting stuff. So the special features an audio commentary with film critic and author Alexandra Helen Nicholas from 2025. Alexandra lives locally, friend of a friend. To Hell and Back, a video essay by filmmaker and Dread Central Editor-in-Chief Mary Beth McAndrew from 2025. Beyond the Catacombs, an interview with the actor Ben Feldman, who plays one of the people on the mission, who has claustrophobia because the actor Ben Feldman actually had claustrophobia, so they wrote that into the character. Shooting Underground, an interview with the director of photography Leo Hinston from 2025. Inside, As Above, So Below, an archival featurette and a theatrical trailer. This is a limited edition of 2,000 copies. And inside, Shake It Loose, you get the non-lenticular cover, the disc, the characters doing a bit of homework before they descend into the depths of hell. And here are the art cards. There are the two main characters looking at Nicholas Flamel's tombstone to get a clue about how to find their way to the catacombs. There's some of the footage shot in there, and that's the kind of footage you get. And again, that's the kind of footage you get, but it's shot incredibly well. The found footage stuff is incorporated into the special effects really well. There's your main character. There is one of her friends with whom she descends into the depths, and that as well. I like what Imprint do here, because they put the art cards into a little sleeve so that they don't get messed up. I like that as an approach. I know not everybody does it, but I think it's best practice on these things. I enjoyed this movie more than I thought it would, because found footage horror movies can be a bit precious and a bit amateurish, but this definitely isn't. It's not the best horror movie in the world, but it's honest. Shooting on location helps a lot. The plot and the script are great. The acting is all on point, and it takes you somewhere you haven't been. The depths of the catacombs of Paris. Yes, you may have gone there on holidays and done the tourist thing, but seeing the actors climb over a mound of human femurs to get through the tunnel and things like that, and then finding a car on fire in the bottom of the catacombs. It's just great. It's got a little bit of National Treasure, a little bit of an Indiana Jones feel about it. It's also got a little bit of something like Hellraiser about it as well. Definite hidden gem. It's better than I thought it would be, and you should check it out if you can. Really quality release from Via Vision here. And it's one that I recommend because I had a great time watching it. I like a good horror movie, and this one transcends the fact that it is found footage. There are times when it's a little bit shaky cam, but that never lasts very long. It never lasts long enough for it to be annoying. Good film. You should check it out. And the lenticular cover is groovy. I know people who collect lenticular art, and they're going to poo themselves if they don't get this one. So that's what I got for you this time around. A whole bunch of new releases from Imprint, and thank you again to Imprint Via Vision for sending these through. Great movies. I love getting review copies of movies that will stretch me, and Man Bites Dog did. This one took me into a different headspace as far as found footage is concerned, and the other movies are going to be really fascinating to watch too. Maybe I should do a month where I only watch art house films for the channel. Let me know if you want me to. Probably going to lose some viewers if I do that, but I'm inclined to think that it might be an interesting experiment to pick a month and just watch art house films, or just watch films that aren't particularly genre films. I think that might be a useful exercise for me. Let me know whether you want me to. Let me know whether you want to see some of these movies, or whether you have and you enjoyed them or not, and which ones are you going to get from Imprint. I know we'll post links to each of the films in the notes on this video. Next up, we get Science Fiction Saturday, and I'm doing the second Star Trek movie, Wrath of Khan, and I'm also looking at Space Seed, the prequel to that was part of the Star Trek TV series back in the 1960s. So until all of that stuff happened, by the way, the other thing, last thing, I'm creeping up on 15,000 subscribers, and I'm less than 100 away from that. If you're watching the channel and you haven't subscribed, but by the middle of April, please subscribe, because I'd love to reach 15,000 subscribers by my birthday on the 17th of April. So if you can lend me a hand with that and you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it. So until everything else happens, Star Trek, my birthday, all the rest of this stuff, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies, watch some movies that stretch you out and take you out of your comfort zone. What do you got to lose? And I'll catch you next time.